Let's start seated. So just find somewhere comfortable to sit. If you want to sit on your folded blanket or on a cushion, if that's more comfortable, then feel free to do that. Your legs are going to be crossed, or you might want to kneel. Anything that feels comfortable is absolutely fine. And then just letting your hands rest on your legs, closing your eyes, taking a couple of deep breaths in, so nice and slow and deep. In through the nose and then gently sighing out of the mouth, nice and long with those breaths. If you need to wriggle, wriggle. Stretch, whatever it is. When you're ready, sealing the lips. And just breathing softly through the nose. Trying not to take too much control of it just yet, just observing your natural breath. So noticing the rhythm, the pace, the depth, any other qualities that come to mind. Taking your attention to the top of your head, running a body scan all the way down the front and back of the body to the fingers and the toes. Trying to notice the different sort of layers of your body. So maybe you notice how things feel sort of at a muscular level inside you. Maybe you notice the sensations that your skin is experiencing, so how your clothes feel against your skin, how the air, the temperature feels against your skin. Maybe you notice different emotions, different sensations in different parts of you. Just taking a few moments to take all of that in. When you finish your scan, just take your attention back to your breath. Notice if that breath has shifted at all while your attention's been elsewhere. And then starting to draw the breath deeper down towards the bottom of your rib cage, filling up that whole lung space. You might notice the sensations of your body making space for that breath. Maybe you can feel your belly moving, the side or back or front of your ribs lifting and dropping. Maybe you notice a little part of you that feels a little bit sticky. Maybe it feels nice and soft. Try and keep that same pace of breath as we start to move. So don't worry so much about doing exactly what I'm doing in terms of matching how long it takes me to do something, but work with your breath. So using the full length of an inhale or the full length of an exhale to complete the movement. Start gently. On an inhale, sweeping the arms out to the side, bringing the hands to touch overhead. And as you exhale, bringing the hands down to the heart center. Inhale to sweep the arms up nice and high again, palms touch. Exhaling, bringing the hands to heart 3 more times, using that full breath so it becomes a nice fluid movement with no kind of stops or waits. When you've done your final one, you're going to inhale, sweep the arms back up overhead. Interlace the fingers this time, press the heels of the hands up towards the sky. You're trying to make the sides of your body as long as you possibly can. Maybe have a little wriggle, stretching out one side and the other, making yourself as tall as you possibly can. And holding, taking some nice steady breaths. Keep reaching the heels of the hands to the sky. On an exhale, release the grip and let the hands come to float down to the knees. Just going to rest the fingertips on the kneecaps. We'll do a Sufi groan, so keeping the hips stable and pressing down onto the ground. You're going to kind of circle your ribs above the hips, so coming forward to the side, back and round. Using that full breath to complete a full circle. Just exploring all the movement that's available to you in that shape. Noticing how your spine moves, how the weight shifts a little in the hips. One more in this direction. And then coming back the other way. Last one. Coming back to center. I'm going to switch the ankles, keeping the hands on the knees, and we do a seated cat-cow. So on the inhale, you're going to kind of stick your bum out behind you, lift the chest forward and up, chin lifts, keeping the shoulders nice and broad. As you exhale, rounding the back, tucking the tailbone under, dropping the chin down to the chest. So inhale, bum out, chest forward, looking up. Exhale, rounding the back, making the front of the body as small as you can. Keeping that going. So you can think as you're doing this about the front of the spine. So that on the seated cow, you're making the front of the spine as long as you can as you look up. And then making it as small as you can as you come back to your cat. As always, you can close your eyes if that helps you focus on the sensations through your back. One more pair. And then coming back to neutral, sitting nice and tall. On an exhale, we're going to drop the right ear down to the right shoulder. Let the head drop forward, chin to chest. Left ear, left shoulder, and then head drops back. So one full breath, one full circle. Trying to keep the movement under control the whole way around. Nice and steady. Making this next circle your last one in this direction. The next time your ear comes to the right shoulder, taking it back the way it came. Last one in this direction. Letting the chin come to rest down on your chest. Straightening up the spine a little bit, broadening through the front of the chest, keeping that chin dropped, stretching out the back of the neck. On an inhale, bringing the chin up through center and then lifting the chin up towards the sky. So focus on lifting the chin rather than dropping the head back, trying to get as much space down the front of the neck as you can. On the next exhale, bringing the chin back to center, taking a breath. And then we're going to drop the right ear down to the right shoulder and hold here. So again, make sure you're just sitting up nice and tall. Let the chest nice and broad, spine is kind of straight. If you want to add on to this stretch, you can let the left hand drop down by your side, just adding a little bit of weight down there. See how that feels. If you want to add a little bit more on still, then taking the right hand and just resting it on the side of the head. So you're not pulling on it, just letting that weight of the hand add a little bit of extra stretch in. Still sitting nice and tall, nice long spine. Nice big steady breaths. Keeping the head resting down over the shoulder. You're going to release the hands. If you've moved them, just take them back to rest on your thighs. On an exhale, let the chin roll down to the chest. And inhale to roll it left ear, left shoulder, sitting up nice and tall again. Just noticing how that stretch feels today. If you want to add on, just dropping the right hand down by your side. Maybe that left hand comes up to rest on the side of your head. Keeping the head dropped, releasing the hands back to rest on the legs. And then on your next exhale, chin comes back down to the chest. On an inhale, sitting up nice and tall, gazing forward. Okay, we're going to come over onto all fours now. If you have slightly sensitive knees, then maybe put a folded blanket underneath them. This one. And then finding a tabletop position. And then walking your hands one hand length forward. So the heel of the hands kind of where the fingertips were. And then take your shoulders forward with them. So they're over the wrists still. Spreading the fingers nice and wide, pressing through your fingertips. Maybe they start to turn a little bit white, including the thumbs in that. Notice where the inside of your elbow is pointing. So if you can roll the two, those two bits to face each other. I don't know why I'm having real trouble with words today. So nice and long and flat through the spine. And from here, we're going to do some circles moving into the hips again. So as you exhale, let the hips pop out to the right and then sit back towards the heels. Inhale is going to bring your hips out to the left and let them drop down at the front as your shoulders come forward again. And keep going with the circle. So right and back, left and forward. Nice big movements, nice big circles. Noticing how the hip joints feel. As you come forward, remembering to press through the fingers and the thumbs to spread the weight through the hands. One more in this direction. The next time you end up at the front, go back to the left, circling in the opposite direction. Last one in this direction. And you come back to center, sitting back towards the heels, finding a child's pose. So you might want to have your knees together or apart. Your hands can reach forward or rest alongside your legs, whichever feels most comfortable. Taking your attention back to your breath. Nice, steady, deep breaths. And then inhale, coming back up to all fours. Bringing the wrists back under the shoulders, nice flat back. Do some thread the needles. So we're going to inhale, reach the right hand up to the sky, opening the chest to the right. Exhale to reach under the left arm as far as you can. Inhale to lift up nice and tall again. Exhale, reaching through. Inhale, lift. Exhale, reach. Last time, inhale, lift. As you exhale, reach as far as you can before the hand, shoulder and head come down to the mat. And keep the left hand in front of the face for support. You might want to slide it up to the top of the mat. Maybe put a little bit of pressure through it. Trying to straighten out the back and the hips. Nice big breaths. Noticing where you feel your breath in your body in this shape. Last breath here. And if it's moved, reposition the left hand in front of the face again. On an inhale, you're going to press down to help reach the right arm back up to the sky. Exhale, right hand comes down straight to the other side. Inhale, left arm reaches high. Exhale, reaching under the right. Inhale to lift. Exhale to thread. Okay, 2 more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, reach. Last lift. As you exhale, reaching as far as you can under that right arm. Hand, shoulder, head come down. So what you're going to do with that right hand. And taking your focus back to your breath. Last breath here. And moving the right hand back in front of the face. On an inhale, pressing down to help lift the left arm to the sky. Exhale, hand comes back down. Just resetting momentarily, pressing through the fingertips again, pressing down through the arms as well. So it's almost like your rib cage lifts up into your shoulder blades. And then we're going to very elegantly and very delicately draw a little circle with our bottoms. So you're trying to keep the hips really still and just roll. So the spine really still and just roll the hips round in a little circle. Trying to keep the hand, back of the neck nice and long and straight as though you were standing up. If the head drops down too low, it's going to limit some of the movement in the other parts of the spine. And circling back in the opposite direction. When you're ready, we're going to tuck the toes behind us, pressing down through the hands, start to lift the hips up behind you towards a downward facing dog. Just keep a big bend in the knees to start with. Focus on trying to straighten out that spine, trying to get the arms alongside sort of each ear, and then letting the head drop a little bit between them. Still almost trying to spin the inside of your elbows up towards the sky as you press down firmly through all of your fingertips and the thumbs. And maybe nice and gently starting to walk out the back of the legs, pressing one heel down and then switching to the other leg. Noticing how those muscles up the back of your legs feel. Try not to push them too far. Just giving them a little bit of a wake up. Maybe you straighten both legs a little bit by drawing the heels down to the ground. Trying not to let the spine round too much as you do that. The hips nice and lifted. Okay, nice. On an inhale, we're going to reach the right foot up to the sky behind you. So press out through the heel. Have a little look at your toes. Try to angle them down towards the ground. You're pressing out through the heel, toes towards the ground. Lovely. So nice straight leg on that lifted leg. Nice steady breaths. Keep lifting both hips up. Pressing through both hands. On an exhale, you're going to step that right foot forward outside the right hand. Drop the back knee. inhale to lift up. Maybe you come onto fingertips, so staying quite low and the weight staying quite far forward. If your knee's really far forward of your ankle, then maybe give it a little bit of a hand, shuffle it forwards a little bit as well. Lovely. So trying to lengthen out the front of the body. So if you have got blocks or a cushion or something, you can see how that feels to maybe actually lift up a little bit higher as you sink the weight forwards. Everybody's body is going to be a little bit different here, so it's just about exploring and seeing how things feel for you. Nice. Taking some nice steady breaths. From here, on an exhale, you're going to take the hips back towards that back heel. The front leg will straighten, let the hands slide back towards you. Maybe the heel draws back a little bit towards you as well. So you've got the right leg straight, toes nice and flexed, reaching forward, sitting back on that heel. Nice. On an inhale, you're going to bring the weight forward again, so leading with the hips. The right foot is going to come down. Lifting up the body this time, so you're in a lunge. Lovely. So you're going to inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Just make sure your weight is over that back knee, so shuffle the hips back if they're forward a bit. And maybe tuck the tailbone, drawing it down to the ground. Reaching both arms up, arms parallel. And trying to keep the front of the body nice and flat. So tucking the tailbone, maybe drawing the ribs down a little bit if the chest feels like it's popped up. Sometimes it does that. And then pressing through both feet and squeezing the thighs towards each other, some stability. Keeping all of those bits. On an exhale, bringing the hands down to the heart. And then inhale to twist to the right. So trying to keep the hips facing forward, twisting over that bent knee. If you want to add on, then you can reach one or both arms out. So they're kind of going forward and back in terms of your hips. Okay. Nice, steady breath. On your next inhale, bring the arms forward and overhead as you face front again. On an exhale, you're going to take the hands down inside that front foot. Just mind your cushion or blocks out of the way for a second. You're going to tuck the back toe, and on an inhale, sweep the right foot back up to the sky, trying not to drag it, and exhale to step the right foot back to your downward facing dog. Have a little wiggle, have a little walk, whatever you need to do there. Then finding some stillness, reset for a moment. And then on an inhale, left leg reaches out behind you. Again, pressing out through the heel, checking those toes, facing them down towards the ground. Nice straight leg reaching through the heel. Trying to keep the rest of the down dog shape as normal as possible. So lifting the hips, pressing through the hands. Lovely. One more breath up there. Then on your next exhale, the left foot's going to come down outside that left hand. Back knee's going to drop. Lifting up to fingertips, bringing the weight forward into that front hip. to start with. And then exploring how the body feels. So if you want to come back up, see how that feels on this side, then have a little go. It might feel very similar on both sides. It might feel quite different. There's no right or wrong, so just notice how it feels. Trying to keep the front of the body as long as you can. On your next exhale, leading with the hips, they're coming back towards that back heel. Front leg is going to straighten, flexing through the foot, reaching forward with the fingertips. So arms are as long as they'll go. Nice, steady breath. One more breath down here. Then on an inhale, bringing the weight forward, placing that front foot down and lifting up to find that lunge. Weight comes back over that back knee, pressing down through both feet. On an inhale, reaching both arms up high. So maybe tucking the tailbone a little bit, pressing through both feet, squeezing the inner thighs towards each other, and maybe drawing the front of the ribs down a little bit. Nice, steady breath. On an exhale, we're going to bring the hands down to heart, and then inhale to twist to the left, keeping the hips facing forward, twisting from the sort of waist up. Keeping the spine nice and long, keep pressing through the feet. Option to reach out, one or both, arms. Last breath here. On an inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead as you face forward. Exhale, hands come down to the ground inside that front foot. Tuck the back toes. And on an inhale, you're going to sweep the left foot back up to the sky. Exhale to bring the feet both down. Nice. Long down dog. Nice. Steady breath. And from here, if you have blocks or a cushion in front of you, just move that to one side so the front of your mat is nice and clear. Then on an inhale, you're going to bring the shoulders forward over the wrists, find a plank. So you can have knees up or down, it's up to you. Just make sure that the tailbone is tucked, so you've got a sort of neutral shape through the hips. Lovely. Keep the head a little lifted, don't let the head drop down towards the chest. Nice. So from here, on an exhale, we're going to take the chest down between the thumbs. So the bum is going to stick up in the air. Chin's going to touch down. 2. Then on an inhale, we're going to bring the hips down to the ground and lift the chest and hands. Keep pressing your hips down into the earth. And baby cobra. On the next exhale, coming to lie flat on your front. Maybe give the hips a little wiggle if that feels nice. Do a little bit of locust down here. So we'll start with the top half of the body. So you're going to start, we start by tucking the tailbone, so drawing your sort of coccyx down towards the heels, and your heels, you know where they are, and pressing the hips into the ground beneath you. Arms are alongside the body, palms of the hands facing down, forehead to the earth, keeping the hips pressing down. On an inhale, lifting the chest, drawing the shoulder blades towards each other, trying to keep the toes down on the ground. Make sure you can still breathe where you are. Back of the neck nice and long here. One more breath up here. And on an exhale, gently release the head down to the ground. Maybe make a little pillow for your hands. Rest your head on it. Give your hips a little wiggle. And then we will tackle the lower half. And then we will add the two together. So coming back to center. Palms of the hands facing down, forehead down. Same start. So you're still going to tuck the tailbone, press the hips into the ground. We're going to point the toes, straighten the legs and float them up away from the ground behind you, keeping the forehead and the chest down. You're pressing the hips forward, lifting out through those feet, nice and long. See if there's any more room to float them up. Keep breathing. On your next exhale, lower them back down. Make another little pillow, turn your head the other way. Another little wriggle for the hips. Okay, last one, we're going to add both parts together. So coming back to neutral, hands facing down, forehead down, starting by tucking the pelvis, pushing it forward into the ground beneath you. On an inhale, you're going to float the chest up first, so drawing the shoulder blades towards each other. Nice long neck, broad chest. And then when you're ready, floating the feet up behind you as well. There's an option to float the hands away, reaching behind you to help draw those shoulder blades closer together. Nice. Keeping the chin a little bit tucked to the back of the neck is nice and long. Lovely. Pointing those toes. One more breath. See if there's any more room to lift into. Lovely. On an exhale, releasing everything down. And then you can bring the hands under the shoulders. Push yourself back to a child's pose. Again, any version that feels good. I generally recommend knees wide after a back bend, but if that feels funky, then go for something else. Notice your breath. When you're ready, reaching the arms forward along the mat again. Starting to press through the fingertips, tuck the toes back up to a downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths, nice and strong, nice and long through the back. Make sure the neck is soft, the face is soft, tongue and jaw nice and loose. Then from there, we're going to walk the hands back towards the feet, taking a big bend in the knees. Maybe the chest rests over the thighs. Head hangs heavy, ragdoll forward fold. If it feels good to have a little sway from side to side, feel free.
One more breath down here. On an exhale, releasing the arms if you've taken a bind. And then on an inhale, rolling all the way up to stand nice and tall. Lovely. Do a little bit of balancing before we go back down. So we are going to do, we'll have a little play with this figure 4 stretch. So starting with the feet sort of roughly under the shoulders, so all your bones are nice and stacked. I'm going to keep the knees a little bit soft as we move so you can weather any wobbles a little bit more easily. So we'll start with the hands in prayer. We're going to lift the right foot away from the ground, so coming to balance on the left foot. Flex the right foot nice and strongly. You're going to cross the ankle over the standing knee. So try to be just above the ankle joint so you're not pressing on the joint or the foot. Try to look at something that's not moving. It's probably not me. So you're going to draw the right knee out to the side, flex through the foot. And then on an exhale, you're going to bend at the knee and the hip, so the spine is going to stay nice and long, just coming down as far as you can, keeping that nice straight spine, keeping that flexed foot, then right knee drawing down sort of towards the ground almost now. Sitting as deep as you can. Okay, so try not to round the back. Make sure the movement is at the hip, not the spine. It can be a little bit, take a little while to get used to that. So you need to bend the bottom knee as well. If the bottom knee isn't bending, then often what happens is you end up rounding the spine rather than to get down more. One more breath. Inhale, as you lift up, bring the right knee into the chest. And then exhale to step the foot down. Have a little wiggle. Do a little dance. To make sure you are bending that standing leg. Otherwise, it really will feel like you're toppling forward if you keep the spine straight. So when you're ready, weighting to right foot. Left knee comes up, crossing over at the ankle, drawing that left knee sort of to the back of the room. And then when you're ready, bend at the knee first and then the hip. Keep trying to draw that left knee down to the ground. Lifting the chest up so the spine stays long. One more breath. On an inhale, coming up, lifting the knee into the chest, holding here. Exhale to step the foot down. Another little shimmy, little wiggle. And then make your way to the back of the mat. Feet roughly shoulder width apart. Standing nice and tall, pressing through the whole of the foot, through the toes. The ball of the foot, both sides of it, big toe, little toe side, middle of the heels. Standing up nice and tall, hugging everything into the center line, and reaching the fingers down to the ground. Nice, steady breath. On an inhale, going to sweep the arms up overhead, make sure the chest stays where it is. On the exhale, hinge at the hips again as you come forward into your fold, keeping the back long, chest lifted. On an inhale, fingertips to shins, looking up and forward. Keep the weight even through the feet, so notice if you rock back. On an exhale, hands come to the mat and you're going to crawl forward. Bring the knees down to find a tabletop. On an inhale, find a cow, so belly drops, chest lifts, looking up and forward. Exhale, rounding the back to the sky, head hangs heavy, tailbone tucked towards the knee. Inhale to come back to neutral. And then your choice on the exhale, child's pose or downward facing dog. On the exhale, bringing the knees down, you're going to come to rabbit. So you need to lift up to a kneeling position for a moment. You're going to take the very top of your head, the flat bit that's underneath my lovely top knot. You're going to take the flat bit at the top of your head down to the ground, as close to your knees as you can get it. Grab a hold of your heels and lift your bum up to the sky. So you're creating a tension through the arms as you do this. Try to keep the weight in the arms rather than in the neck. If the neck feels like it's under any weird tension, then drop the hips back and reposition the head. Last breath. Then on an exhale, releasing the hips down, lifting yourself up to a kneeling position. This is where the cat is. Laura actually had a little rabbit's tail in her rabbit, which is interesting. Cool. So from here, we're going to swing legs round. As you can bring yourself forward on your mat. Again, a little bit, so there's space behind you, and come down onto your back. Keep your heels nice and close to your bum. So trying to draw each heel towards kind of corresponding side rather than drawing the feet together. If that makes sense. So you're trying to kind of get the heel of each foot roughly underneath where your knee is. Can't really see it, but you can kind of get a sense of where it is when you start to push down as to how much effort that feels like. If your ankles are under your knees, then the bones are going to take some of the weight away from the muscles. Then let the arms rest alongside you on the ground, just for a little bit of support. We're going to do 5 pelvic tilts to start. So each one's going to come up a little bit higher maybe than the last one. So we're aiming that for the last one, we're finding a straight line from the shoulders to the knees. And keep an eye on your knees. Don't let them go wandering. If you do have a cushion or a block or something, you could pop one between your knees. Just when they're, wherever they are in their neutral position, just try and kind of fill that. So you're just holding with a light pressure to keep them in a neutral place. So when you're ready, on an exhale, pressing down into the feet, letting the hips start to lift a little bit, and inhale to roll back down. So you've got 4 more of these, moving with your breath, letting the hips roll up a little bit higher each time. So that 5th breath brings the hips up to create that straight line from your shoulders all the way up to your knees. So after the 5th, you'll roll all the way back down. The next exhale is going to bring you back up to that same spot, that nice straight line. You're going to hold there for 5 breaths. Keep pressing through the whole of your foot. Don't forget about the big toe, the little toe. Make sure they're contributing to the work. After your 5th breath, your next exhale will roll you back down to the ground. If you've got a block or cushion between your knees, you can let that go. Take the feet a little wider. Do some gentle windscreen wiper knees, so dropping them from one side to the other, moving nice and slowly so the hips get a bit of time to shift, to move. Then we're going to take the arms wide along the ground, so kind of like a giant T, and draw the knees up into the chest. So squeezing the knees as close to the body as you can get them, and then on an exhale, dropping the knees over to the right. So if you can get the legs down and keep the left shoulder down, that's great. If the left shoulder starts to roll up, or you can't get the knees down, then pop something underneath the legs. If the top leg is floating, then maybe pop something in between the 2 knees for a bit of support. Maybe you gaze over the left shoulder, maybe you close your eyes, taking your attention back to your breath. Nice and steady. Allowing your body to soften, to relax, to feel heavy. Last breath on this side. And when you're ready, on an inhale, bring your head and knees back to center. Then exhale to take the knees over to the left, maybe gazing over the right shoulder. Noticing if it would feel nice to have a little bit of support from a cushion or a block. Taking the attention back to the breath, finding softness, steadiness. Last breath on this side. And as you inhale, bring the knees and head back to center. Draw the knees into the chest, give yourself a nice big hug. Make yourself into a teeny tiny ball, pull some silly faces. And when you're ready, coming to lie on your back for your Shavasana. So grab anything you want to keep you warm, keep you comfortable. I'm going to take 3 nice big sighs to relax. So Taking a big full breath in through the nose, getting those lungs as inflated as you possibly can. And then a big loud sigh out of the mouth. One or two more in your own time. Allowing everything to soften, to fade, to feel heavy. Letting the ground take over all the work of holding you for the next few minutes. Last couple of breaths here. Starting to bring your attention back to the body, noticing how the air feels against your skin, different sounds in the room. Starting to breathe deeper. Introduce movement back to the body. Maybe rocking the head gently from side to side, wriggling fingers and toes. And then gently making those movements bigger. Whatever your body feels it wants to do. And whenever you're ready, draw your knees up into your chest. And then maybe roll over onto whichever side feels most comfortable. Taking a couple of nice relaxed breaths down on your side. And then with the eyes still closed, start to push yourself back up to a
comfortable seated position, any shape will do. Having any last little wriggles, stretches, whatever it is that you need for coming to rest and stillness. Maybe the hands are on your lap, stacked over your heart, or in prayer. Taking a moment to thank yourself for making time today to come and practice. Taking a little moment to thank each other for coming and sharing this time together. When you're ready, starting to rub the hands together, getting them nice and warm. Cupping the palms of the hands over the eyelids, just taking a moment to notice how that feels. In your own time, blinking, open your eyes, taking your hands away from your face.